the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. My dear brothers and sisters, we are gathered together as every Thursday in this program of food from the heart to the heart. Today happens to be Souls Day, so we remember all the people we knew and they have gone up, and we are not praying for them but to them, because they are preparing places for us. All of us will have to go one day. We have to be called by God in our death and new life. So it is why I remember especially my parents and some of my brothers, and all of you will remember people who has loved us, left us, and gone up to heaven. This, I want to reflect today on a topic I had prepared some time back, is on generosity. Generosity as a virtue. Generosity is the virtue of giving good things to others. Freely and abundantly, in terms of quality rather than quantity. Like every other virtue, generosity cannot be taken for granted, but needs to be cultivated. So genuine generosity is not a haphazard act, but one that requires training and practice. For generosity, as is commonly understood, is not limited to money or material, but embraces elements of a social, personal, spiritual outreach. Besides possessions, generosity entails the giving of time, attention, aid, encouragement, emotional ability, and more. The underlying principle and purpose remains constant and consistent. It always intends to enhance the true well-being of the receiver. The generosity is not identical to pure altruism, since people can be authentically generous in part for reasons that serve their own interests as well as those of others. Noted Christian Smith, author of The Paradox of Generosity, he writes, "Indeed, insofar as generosity is a virtue, to practice it for the good of others also necessarily means that doing so achieves one's own true long-term good." So generosity, like all virtues, is in people's genuine, enlightened self-interest to learn and practice. To undergenerous people, the idea of giving good things away can feel like a threatening loss to be feared and avoided. they remain self-centered. As Jesus said, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Generosity entails a spiritual mindset, moves beyond material possessions. Jesus' standard of generosity is not the world's standard. "Just give a cup of cold water in my name," he instructs. So little and so simple as to be scarcely noticed. Like the widow's mite, it is nevertheless a high standard. It demands that we live in awareness of the thirst all around us. The basis and motivation for our generosity is God's generosity towards us. All we are is God's gift to us, and we survive on God's gifts in creation: air, water, nature, and natural products. God fills every human heart with unlimited love and compassion. It is from this abundant inner source that generosity springs. Generosity allies itself with a deeper feeling of abundance, the feeling that we have enough to share. Everyone to whom much has been given, much will be required. And from the one to whom much has been entrusted, even more will be demanded. This is a quotation of Jesus in Luke. We practice generosity in giving without expectations or calculations. However, when we choose to give abundantly, we in turn receive plentiful blessings from God. Jesus says, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back." As a virtue, generosity acts as an antidote to certain contrary behavioral tendencies like selfishness, greed, fear, and meanness. A writer looks at the relationship between generosity and consumerism. The practice of generosity can serve as a corrective to addictive consumerism. Generosity enacts the quality of non-greed. It is a willingness to share, to let go. It may be giving of time, energy, resources, love, and even, in rare cases, one's own life for the benefit and welfare of others. Generosity weakens the tendency of attachment and grasping, and is intimately connected with the feeling of loving kindness, and will also experience its effect on consuming. The cultivation of generosity offers a very strong antidote to the wanting mind and would be a powerful corrective if taken up in a widespread way across our culture. Genuine generosity is unconditional with no strings attached, no hidden agency, so as to enrich the lives of others. Generosity is giving to others more than what is expected, joyfully, and without expecting anything in return. So generosity cannot come from guilt or pity. It has to come from hearts that are fearless and free and are willing to share abundantly all that is given to us. Like other virtues, generosity is at the heart of spirituality and must be made a conscious, deliberate practice. The rich young man who approached Jesus was a good soul who lacked generosity. He declined Jesus' challenge, grieving for he had many possessions. The rich fool in Luke, who amassed wealth but did not live to enjoy it, so it is, warned Jesus, with those who store up treasures for themselves but are not rich towards God. Practice generosity as a virtue wholeheartedly and joyfully. The more you give, the more you will receive to give away. Let us ask the Lord to grant us this virtue, to be able to be generous in our life and our dealing with others. Now we'll have the exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, then the prayer of the infant Jesus, and the benediction. We have now the novena prayer to the infant Jesus. O Jesus, you said, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened to you. Through the intercession of Mary, your most holy mother, I knock, I seek, and I ask that my prayer may be granted. Make your petition. O Jesus, you said, all that you ask of the Father in my name, he will grant you. Through the intercession of Mary, your most holy mother, I humbly and urgently ask your Father in your name that my prayer may be granted. O Jesus, you said, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass. Through the intercession of Mary, your most holy mother, I feel confident that my prayer will be granted. We make this prayer, dear infant Jesus, in your name, who with the Father and the Holy Spirit live and reign forever and ever.